Hello, welcome to Web of Stories. My name is Melinda. It is outside, it is the evening. So, a little peek behind the curtains here. It's also a little windy. I tend to do a lot of, not all of my filming, but a lot of my filming on Sundays because I have makeup on from church. And lots of the videos I do on Sunday are tag videos because they go up on Tuesday. So I had plans today to record this tag video, and then things got hectic, and then we got home, and then things got loud. Like, I don't know, my family's loud, gosh darn it. And I was waiting, we've had dinner already. I usually don't film at night because makeup is worn off, and let's be realistic here. But my husband's still there, he's watching Wonder Woman, not the movie, the cartoons. And I'm just like, fine, I'm gonna go outside and film this because I want to have this video up for Tuesday. So what tag am I doing? I am doing the Booktuber name tag. So I've seen a couple of people, I've seen Pat. So Pat at Book Chat with Pat is the person who tagged me, and this was created by Aaron Read a Book, or Aaron Read a Book. I don't know which one it is. Anyway, this is a really inventive tag, and I'm going to read what Aaron says about it. These are all great channels that you should all subscribe to immediately. I already subscribe to them all, so I'm ahead of the game. If you haven't already, there are probably several hundred other channel names that would work as prompts, but these are the ones that I thought of. So he has 10 channels, all of which I watch, so I feel like I'm really in on this one. And based on their name, he has a prompt. So here we go. First one, books I'm not reading. That's Kelly at Books I'm Not Reading, and says, a book that's been on your TBR forever. And for this one, I have Rules of Civility by Amor Towles. I love Amor Towles. I have read Gentleman in Moscow, and this happens when you film outside. Gentleman in Moscow and The Lincoln Highway. I don't know why I haven't read this one. I have had this book for years. It was one of the 10 or 12, because I've already forgotten, 10 or 12 books that I picked out last December saying I had to read by December 31st of this year or get rid of. And I haven't read it yet. But I am going to be reading it in July. Kim at Kim's Book Life and anyone else who'd like to join us, please let me know. We're going to do a buddy read of this starting on July 15th. So let me know. And then I can take this one off the pile. It'll probably be a keeper book. I cannot imagine that this would not be a keeper book. So it'll go off one bookshelf and onto the other. There you go. And I won't feel guilty about not having read it. The next one is Dia at Novel iDeea, who just has the most calming voice. If you don't watch her channel, she's so calming. But hers is a book with an interesting premise or plot device. And mine for this one is Hench. I do not have a copy of it, so picture. I don't know which side it's going to end up on. So the premise of this one is there is a woman. She's sort of like a tempish, like data entry person, not a glamorous job at all. But she has always worked for superheroes, because in this world that she lives in, there's superhero. I mean, it's very superhero. And do think of things like Marvel and DC superheroes, those kind of superheroes. And someone's heat pump just went off. I'm sorry. Anyway, so she's always kind of worked for superheroes because you want to work for the good guys, right? Well, one day she gets kind of caught in the midst of things, and she suffers an injury, and it kind of wrecks her life, and she just gets mad. She decides she's going to go work for the super villains. It's a really fun book. I love that premise, and there is a sequel to it coming out this year sometime, so I'm very excited. Number 3, Revenant Reads. He's the person, he's your go-to person for his Dorathon. And his is a book where someone has returned from the dead. Again, I don't have this book with me, but this is The Likeness by Tana French. So this is not a literal someone returning from the dead, but the premise of this book, and none of this is a spoiler, is a body has been found, clearly has been murdered, and they're trying to figure out who it was. The thing on it, the catch on all this is that there's someone on the Dublin murder squad named Cassie, who previously had worked undercover in like the drug division, and she'd been on some case where she had an assumed name. I don't have the book with me, so I can't remember the assumed name, sorry. And when they find this woman, they ID her. they realize that this woman has the same name as that assumed identity, and she looks exactly like Cassie. So what they do is they decide to send Cassie back undercover again as this person to go live, because this person lived with some friends, like a group housing situation. You know, people in college all live together, and to try and figure out what's going on. So that was that one. That one was really good. You know, the Dublin Murder Squad, people have really strong feelings about, and I've only read 2. And I understand after reading In the Woods, which I didn't hate. I just had issues with the ending. But I can understand why people have issues with that series, but I really enjoyed the likeness. So that was mine for someone who comes back from the dead, although it's not exactly that. Number 4, CriminOlly, a book where a crime takes place. If you've ever seen my channel, you know I love mystery. I have shelves of books where crimes take place, but I challenged myself to not choose a mystery novel. In fact, I didn't even choose a novel. I chose this book. This was actually the read along for People April this year, and that's I Am by Maggie O'Farrell. Maggie O'Farrell is an Irish writer. Her most famous book is probably Hamnet. And this is a memoir-ish book. It's more a collection of essays-ish in the memoir sphere, but of 17 times she came close to death. And some of these times involved a crime. And I'm not going to go any further because you're going to have to read it, but I don't know how this woman's still alive after all this, but yeah, there are some crimes in this one, but you're going to have to read them to find out what they are. And they're not fun. I tell you, they're not the fun crimes. Okay. Number 5, Book Time with Elvis. Oh, Mark and Elvis, they live in Bohemia. They're building a house in Bohemia. And this one is a book about time travel, or someone named Elvis. I looked for a book for someone named Elvis because I thought that would be great, but I couldn't think of one. But I do have a time travel book, and that is Just One Damn Thing After Another by Jodi Taylor, which is the first book in the St. Mary's Chronicles series. This is one that I was urged to read by my dear friend Susan. If you saw that video, you know, that was one of the books that was in there. And it's a wacky, I can't even describe it, but it's definitely comedy, but it's time travel, but time travel goes wrong and just wacky things happen. It is a fun book. I read this book. Susan had told me that the way to go is audio, but however, if you want to do audio, they're only available on Audible. So I will be listening further on in audio, which is why I caved and got a freaking Audible subscription. But yeah, the great time. If you like time travel, that one is just fun. If you just want a fun, enjoy the ride kind of book, there you go. Okay, number 6, Middle of the Book March. Kim now lives where there are 8 Dunkin' Donuts in her town. We just talked about this today. There are no Dunkin' Donuts left in the state of Oregon. This is true. There used to be one. There used to be Dunkin' Donuts right here. There aren't anymore. There are no Dunkins in the state of Oregon because of Starbucks. There's your little trivia for the day. But this one was your favorite book that you read in March. So I looked at what book I read in March, and I had 4 5-star books. So I thought about it, and I'm like, which one has really stuck with me the most? And it was a pretty clear answer. It was Death Comes for the Archbishop by Willa Cather, which I read as a buddy read with Mari Andrea. This book is so gosh darn beautiful. Oh, love this book. And it's set in the Southwest. It is set mostly in New Mexico, and I'm familiar with the Tucson area, so it's not exactly right, although they do refer to some places in Tucson that I know. But this book just like, I was like, my heart was just beating out of my chest with the beauty of this book. And it's a simple story. It's about a French bishop, priest, who goes to, at that point, the newly acquired Southwest, and just starts diocese, the Catholic diocese. It's not real. I mean, it's not a super religious book, and it's actually, I thought, very open-minded for the time, both in which it was set and when it was written. Loved this book. I love this book. Yes, so that was my favorite book from March. 6, Obscure Book Adventures. She's got great recommendations. A book that you love that never gets talked about. Oh, nope, I'm sorry, I missed one. Number 7 is Book Buds. I love Book Buds. They're so much fun to watch. They do skits, and I like because you get like double your money for them, because they do their own, like, if they do a tag video, they each give their answers. So you get like 2 answers for their videos. It's very cool. But theirs was A Book with a Great Friendship. This was another 5-star book for me, and that is Glorious Exploits by Ferdia Lennon, which I found out about from Ross at Scallydandling about the books. And this is set in Syracuse, which is on Sicily, which started for some reason, reading books about Sicily. And it's set right after the Peloponnesian, right in or after the Peloponnesian Wars. And the jumping off point for this book is the real historical fact that the Athenian prisoners of war at this time were able to basically save themselves by reciting Euripides to the Syracusans. So that's kind of like the inspiration for this book. And this is about 2 friends who decide that this is their one chance to see Athenian theater. So they get the Athenian prisoners of war to do theater for them. It is fantastic. You know, this one probably could have gone for the next one too, but more people need to be reading this book because it is fantastic. It's a new release, it's new-ish release, so it needs more love. Now we're going to go to number 8. Obscure book adventures. Yes, great book recommendations. A book that you love that never gets talked about. And this one I chose. There's a thing with audiobooks. Some audiobooks are really popular. Are memoirs by comedians, which makes a lot of sense. And there's some really good ones. And they usually, most of the time, they have something to say. So it's not just their lives, which I don't really like those. I like it when they have something to say. And then sort of the height of this, when you had the women from SNL releasing theirs, and you had Trevor Noah. In the midst of all this was No Land's Man by Asif Manvi, which is my favorite of all these. It is Asif Manvi's experience. So Asif Manvi was born in India, maybe Pakistan, India. And as a child, his family moved to Bradford, England. So he spent a good number of years there in England. And then when he was a teenager, they moved to South Florida. Even reading the book, I'm like, that's quite a jump. And it's just sort of the cultural things that he experienced. And this one's much more of, well, I shouldn't say it's much more, because I think a lot of these books are this way. More kind of like I Am, which is almost more an essay collection. But there are some fantastic essays in there. There's one that's right in the middle of the book, and I do recommend this on audio, because if you know Asif Manvi, he has a very characteristic way of speaking where he's kind of like talking like this, and it's kind of like a little in your face, but in a good way. And that's the way the book is. It's in his voice. But there's one essay in the middle where he talks about, as an adult, going back to Bradford. Is so gorgeous. It's just absolutely gorgeous, which is really ironic because I've been to Bradford and that is not a gorgeous town. Sorry if you live in Bradford, but it isn't. There's another essay that I love and I think about frequently where he talks about profanity. And it starts off with a quote, and I don't remember it exactly, so I'm paraphrasing, but he said, profanity is like a chili pepper. You know, if you put a chili pepper in the hands of a skilled chef that can elevate a dish to something remarkable and profound and life-changing, but in any old Yahoo's hands, it's going to ruin everything. That's profanity. Like, he got it. Fantastic book. No one talks about it. So definitely read No Land's Man by Asif Manvi and do it on audio if you can. Okay. Number 9, Savage Reads. I just watched her video doing this tag. Hannah. I love Hannah. Hannah reads all my recommendations. Not all my recommendations, but she frequently reads my recommendations. And then she's actually, I'm like, you actually read that. So it's always fun to hear what she thinks. I always am a little nervous though, because I'm like, what if she didn't like what I liked? But anyway, this one is a book with a monster or a beast or a human acting monstrous or beastly, which kind of cracks me up because that's so, I do not think of monsters when I think of Hannah. But anyway, this one was another 5-star book from this year. And I have a physical copy, but I recommend it on audio. And it is Stone Blind by Natalie Haynes. And this is a retelling of the Medusa story. So it has the Gorgons and Medusa, which I think count for all of the above. Plus there's a bunch of gods that I think are pretty monstrous and beastly. This book, on audio especially, took my breath away. It is narrated by Natalie Haynes. And frequently when novelists narrate their own books, I run the other way. But Natalie Haynes has a background in both stand-up comedy and broadcasting, so it's perfect. fantastic book. All right, number 10, a book that fits your channel name or the name of a channel that you love. So I chose one that fits my name, and I did not choose Charlotte's Web. Part of me, I'm just going to make this easy and choose Charlotte's Web. No, I'm going to put a little more thought into it than that. I think this tag deserves a little more thought. So I have a book here that I have not finished reading, but it's a short story collection. I only have one story left, so I'm going to count it, but it's perfect because it is a story of interconnected short stories in very interesting and trippy ways. This book is trippy and I love it. It's also the first time I've read this author. And it's an author I've been meaning to read for a long time, and I didn't know she wrote short stories. I was meaning to read her novels, but here we go. It is Normal Rules Don't Apply by Kate Atkinson. So the best way to describe this is, let me just read the little thing here, because I don't think I can describe this book on my own. I'm just going to read this. Nothing is quite as it seems. In this collection of 11 dazzling stories, we meet a queen who makes a bargain she cannot keep, a secretary who watches over the life she has just left, a man who bets on a horse that may or may not have spoken to him. Everything readers love about the novels of Kate Atkinson is here, which makes me want to read her novels. The inventiveness, the verbal felicity, the sharp observations on human nature, and the deeply satisfying emotional wallop. So, okay. A startling and funny feast for the imagination. There's lots of magical realism and magic in this book. These stories conjure a multiverse of subtly connected worlds while illuminating the webs of chance and connection among us all. And I didn't even know it said the word webs in there when I picked this up. I am really loving this collection. And I won't go into how it came to me. There's a reason why I won't go into it, which I will tell you at some point. It's not a big deal why it is, but this just kind of popped into my hands. Love this book. And I think it definitely, just the way the stories interact with each other, definitely works for the web of stories idea. So those are my books. Now, of course, we need to tag some people. So I am not at my computer, so I can't look up to see who's been already tagged. I know some people have. But I have my jar of sticks here. So I'm going to pull, I'm going to get 3 names, but I may put one back if I know they've already done the tag. So our first one is Kelly at Books I'm Not Reading. I don't know if she's done this tag or not. Kelly, I'm sorry. I'm going to leave you here as a tagged person, but I'm sorry if you've already done it. I'm behind in my videos, so I'm not sure. Okay. Sandy, and Ms. Reads a Lot. Okay. I'm pretty sure she hasn't done it. And Leandra, the TBR0. Those are my 3. And I'm tagging. I'm going to tag one more because I'm really not sure. I think Kelly's done this one. I'm going to leave her there, but we're going to do 4 for this one because I'm really not sure about Kelly. Of course, Sue Jackson. I don't know if Sue's done this one. I don't think Sue's done this one. So we're going to say Sue Jackson. And this one we're going to give 4 instead of 3 because I'm not sure about Kelly. Anyway, thank you very much. This ended up being a little bit longer than I thought, and I'm sorry. At least you got like outdoor neighbor noise instead of Wonder Woman. But anyway, thank you very much for spending this time with me. I really appreciate it. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.